explains how the door to the repository got locked.
Hey everyone, it's Rose Crystal, and we are back with another Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc episode. Last time we left off on the part 1 of the class trial, and well, if you saw part 1, you would know where we left off. So I don't really got anything more to say. Enjoy.
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside, which means when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
Very true.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
So there was an accomplice involved in this.
I just can't believe it.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
Yep. You know what it is. The note Hifumi had.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his... pants?
Yes, his pants.
Can we stop talking about that?
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
I found a home introduced to escape. Monokuma can't find out, so I'll tell anyone else tonight. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 a.m.
That's the note I was telling you about! The one that told me where to go! Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
I see. Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
You could just figure that out just by reading it. That's what it says now.
It's not the same?
No.
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hira, and that person could only have been... I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection!
What is this, Ace Attorney?
I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy! Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right?
Yeah, I warned you guys in the second trial that there'd be more nicknames, so... This is what you get for not listening to my warning.
Ugh! Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
Man, Jennifer took it seriously scary, still. Can't let her get to me.
Huffy had the note, right?
Oh, we can...
Then the person it was intended for
Cool.
must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter!
Yes, it does.
The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
Nope, it has everything to do with him.
No! There absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So you should already know that.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it? Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Huh? He stole it?
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
Taka. That is the little scrap paper that he had.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from its death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa, yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead. The second body discovery announcement proves that.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
That's true, we never went over it. We never went over that.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it.
Holy crap, he's actually getting involved? What's this?
But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue. So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then...
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
The weapon that was actually used to kill Hifumi. The whole picture in this case won't become clear until I figure that out. Somehow, I have to find the truth.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers!
Nope.
No, that's wrong! The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
You yourself mentioned that hammers were in the repository.
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, All the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris, but for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean. And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
Whoever did that was the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
If this talk about how that would be used in the work together. At least it was at first, but...
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the rule holds true.
That is.
But that only really applies.
In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried out the act, assuming the rule holds true, it is simply...
There's no longer a process.
No, that's wrong!
Because nobody needed to take on two people.
Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
Okay, what I was about to say is because they keep cutting me off is if that would really apply if there's only one murder, but there's two, so it's kind of hard to do that all by yourself.
What do you mean?
If there's only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look.
Absolutely.
A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful! How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
The effort made to convince the two murders the same. That was the main character's Yoko must have back from the very beginning. So I should not look at this as a series of different events, but entirely separate incidents. I think it really is amazing. When you think about it, it's almost too amazing. It's almost a national Good chief.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now!
Who killer manipulated Hifumi to carry out a number of actions and in the end, murdered him. In the debates up until now, the way the case is unfolded, when you consider all that, it's only one person who seems to fit.
Here's my answer.
Alright, you're done for.
It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
Allow us to explain.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit-brain fat, lazy, worthless goddamn idiot!
Are you breaking there, Celeste?
Pardonnez-moi.
No. You cannot hide that from me.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
There's only Hifumi and Celeste in common, encountering the suspicious individual. As nobody else saw it.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
That's my favorite line in the entire game.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
I saw a shadow, something moving around the top of the stairs.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into two groups, so that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected.
Over for you.
And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead.
Apparently was not expecting this. Imagine Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our mind.
I don't believe it! Everything! The whole thing was one big act!
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed.
Yes, it does. Celeste, dude, it is over. There's not much more you can grab onto.
Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it. Looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
Wait, what was it?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
You must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. We're all going to die here. We're going to die, just like those. Oh my god! Just like those guys died. How did she know that? You never
I
told her about
remember
that.
her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
The obvious is so far doesn't make sense. What is he alluding to?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said, they must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die, just like those guys.
No, that's wrong! That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
Alright, Celeste, it's over. You can't hide behind your poker face anymore.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations.
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took?
That doesn't matter anymore.
How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
Well, we already know that you guys are working together, so...
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on. And then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
Other explanations? If it wasn't picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away, one of the possibility is Hifumi is dragging the suspect away.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
Oh, there you go. Your walls are breaking now.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible.
Stop it. All your pillars have been broken.
Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
What if she could put his belly from dragging the suspect away? Is that really possible?
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
But the costume won't let you bend
No,
forward.
it's wrong! No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that, because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
He totally can't bend at the waist. He's like a pretty obvious oversight.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
It's over. Stop it.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Every pillar you've been holding on to has crumbled. Just admit defeat already. Celeste?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Oh yeah, she's broken.
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
You told me who was it? Who attacked you? Who's trying to kill you? Who killed me? That's right. I remember their name. Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Right! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually Taro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
He said people's last names.
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal, but he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
That's true. She just said, call me Celeste.
What did you just say?
I can reload the first chapter in the prologue. She said, just call me Celeste. She never gave us her actual name.
To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you? Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
You're more than on edge, you're just straight up yelling.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
But I still won't give up, so then I have to do something to make her accept it. The e-handbook.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
how many times do I have to tell you? My name is... Celestia Ludenberg! God damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me,
Are you sure?
No, it's wrong. That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
I'm not.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened, please? Just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again, from the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes. And that'll bring everything to an end.
Alright, it's over. It's over now. We can't. During closing arguments. It wasn't just a scammer. Before I leave?
killer is you! Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes. First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning. That someone they met with was Hiro. The murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo-Justice suit. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo-Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims, to solidify Robo-Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1, and the Robo-Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack store. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2, and an injured Hifumi, to sell us that story. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. But while we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office, and once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. And the villain behind it all is... Celeste! Sorry, You lose.
I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. I, Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no, Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
Wait, what happened to the accent? And Taiko Yasuhiro?
Taiko?
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Aw, dang, it's over now, okay. I gotta admit, that was a very complicated crime, and I like that. You really had to think to put it together. And I like challenges, they're good. I like being able to figure stuff out like this.
Okay, Monokuma. I'm ready to begin.
Even though now I know what happens now.
Or, no, I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
Yeah. It's over now.
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to vote, okay? Okay. If you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Basically formality at this point, but once again, you're totally correct. The black in this time, the true killer devised its whole sneaking scheme was... Ta-da! Celestia Ludenberg, or precisely, Taiko Yasuhiro.
Honestly,
I lost. Well, that sucks. I was trying to work with someone else's mistake after all. You can be some attitudes beyond all my calculations.
I knew it.
So you really did approach me with this plan. How'd you get him to agree? I can't believe he imagined he'd be happily agreed to commit murder. I'm sure she lied in her specialty, lying. My specialty? Don't make me laugh. You didn't have to lie to get him to agree.
So then,
Did you use, you know? I knew you figured out Kyoko. You're absolutely right. Get Ifumi back to my accomplice.
indeed.
I used her. Jordan still left over and mentioned it by name, but it was the one thing that Ifumi and Taka were both super into. Does she mean... Is she talking about alter ego?
Say what?
What? What are you talking about?
just a second.
Don't interrupt, we're in the middle of a very important conversation here. I'm totally out of the loop as usual. That was sad.
In other words,
And you're the one who stole it?
Indeed.
That's right.
I
And
see.
you used it to drag Ifumi into the pen in your office. Right again. Last night after our meeting, I thought, here, I paid Ifumi a little visit. What are you doing here?
Actually,
I was hoping I could talk to you, alone. It's not what was stolen. I know who did it.
what? Are you okay
It
with
was
this?
Taka. He stole it. What?
So
I have
then,
proof. Would you like to see it? As it turned out, I found a use for that digital camera. I'd taken you-know-what to Taka's room earlier and took pictures of it there. I deleted the picture as soon as I showed them to Ifumi, of course.
Damnation!
So it was him! How'd he do it? She was supposed to yell if either of us got close to her. You are correct, which is why Taka forced me to steal it.
Say what?
as for me,
Please forgive me, he threatened me.
Oh,
He did?
as for
He
me,
came to my room last night unannounced, and then it's hard for me to even say. He abused me.
what?
He took pictures. He said if he did not do as he asked, he would show them to everyone. So I had no choice.
Damnation!
That's a crime, an absolute crime. I know he got a little crazy, but
Say what?
I never imagined he would go that far. It was amazing how completely he bought it. Can't express how enjoyable that was. Actually, I never said before in my life.
Completely unforgivable!
I can't read that.
Most unfortunate.
Wait, please, if you go now, it's playing right into his hands. Huh?
Actually,
Taka's planning to use her to escape, and he has made you his target.
What?
Escape? You don't mean Taka is going to try and kill you.
indeed.
Also, he can keep her to himself.
This is unforgivable! Completely unforgivable!
Honestly,
Can we allow him to continue with these barbaric acts? Absolutely not. How could I? She.
I swear I will save her!
actually,
Then would you like to join me? It just so happens I've come with a plan.
Huh?
I have devised a way to reclaim what is stolen and escape this dreadful school. And with that, it is complete. What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. If me agreed on second thought, the effect that made him have on him was remarkable. The power of love. Even a love as twisted I could still drive people mad, it would seem. Disgust me.
I see.
I have another question for you. It's such strange custom from this creature.
indeed.
Yeah, it's a real pain in the butt, too. Last time he was mixing it to hide the face and burn the body size. I had no idea he faked something like that. It was my fault for picking him in the first place.
But
So why is it to make me the suspect? Because you're stupid. That's it.
Let's see.
In that regard, I made the right choice. I'm so glad your stupidity surpassed my every expectation. Life must have been tough on your parents, though. I feel like I could cry.
Well,
But when you're explaining your plan with me, how did you explain the part of him playing dead? What she's asking is, what was supposed to do after that? Assuming you actually let him live.
Are you okay
That's
with
simple.
it?
After he did his part in pretending to be dead, once someone showed up, I told him to say he'd been seriously wounded. He was on the verge of death, but he just barely held on. And you really believe that? Well, of course, it wasn't all there was to it. As I explained to Yufumi, the plan was, while you all questioned what happened to him, I was going to murder someone else. At that point, Yufumi was at an alibi, so nobody could doubt it. I told him that, and he believed it. It all seems very straightforward and stereotypical. I just matched the lie to the lie of the opponent. Fact, Yufumi ate it up. He believed the whole lie wholeheartedly, right up until the moment of his own death.
so in the end,
So he planned to kill him all along. But of course, there had been no point in my plan of knowing him to be dead, and not end up dead himself.
What the heck?
How can human life mean so little to you?
Well,
That's a non-issue. I simply did everything in my power to win.
don't be
Now you
mean!
sound like Byakuya.
I wonder about that.
No, he defies especially when he drew off the hunt, and that aspect we are nothing alike.
Why?
What made you take things this far?
What the heck?
Is it really just for money? Are you talking about $10 million Markham offered us? That was a lot of money, it's true. That's not all there is to it. From the moment our new life here began, that my father couldn't escape.
But
All along with saying how I just kept living here.
You little bitch!
Obviously that was a lie.
Hey!
I couldn't take it. I hated it from day one. More than anyone in here.
You little bitch!
I wanted to get out. Every day was fresh torture. And you want to know why, huh?
This is fine.
Because I had a dream. And accepting a life where I meant nothing less than giving up on that dream forever.
Honestly.
And there was no way that I could ever do that. In the underground world of gambling, I risked my life to make a metaphor for killing.
As for me,
It was all for that dream. And what was this dream of yours?
isn't it
I live
wonderful?
in a European castle. A castle? And to gather handsome men all over the world so I was my first slash bodyguards. I was going to make them dress up like vampires and satisfy my every need. Once I obtained that, I would have created a perfectly aesthetic world of Dedia.
This is fine.
Living the rest of my life, that was my only dream, my only goal. That's what life is all about. Combined with my own winnings, Monacoma's $10 million made that dream a reality. Got right to the edge, but
There is nothing to be done.
unfortunately my dream has been scattered to the winds. Still, I have many regrets. I pursued my dream until the very end, so why would I?
Just the worst.
You sound so passionate, but you're really able to kill your own friends for it?
Oh,
Are you asking me to feel guilty? That's your point, Miss Endeavor, whatever. I think nothing of sacrificing others for my own ends. I feel nothing.
do you
All there is to
understand?
me, this makes me complete. And isn't it terrifying how different our values are? There's simply no room for understanding.
What is this?
We should be saying, and plus, how can you be so calm? Don't you realize you're about to die? Why aren't you scared? My ability to lie is unrivaled, and I take pride in that. Are you sure it's unrivaled as you think? I know a certain someone who would disagree with you. It's not just other people. I can fool my own emotions. The conscience deceives the unconscious. That's why you're not scared?
Yes,
That's
indeed.
right, I don't fear death. Kill me however you like. But you know, if I could be reincarnated, if I had a choice, then
Isn't it
I think I'd
wonderful?
like to come back to Maria tonight.
Hey!
You just get executed again. Celeste smiled then, and when she did, it looked to me like it was a poor effort to force it. She claimed she could fool her own feelings. That statement itself must have been her final lie. And when that weak, fake smile is what betrayed her.
Thrills, chills, kills!
All done? Okay, let's get rolling. Welcome to serve the peace and must pay the price.
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment!
From her, the ultimate gambler. And I'm surprised he waited that long.
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What?
This is...
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way. Which is why... Actually, it's not important. Well then... Take care, everyone. Perhaps we'll meet again. In another life.
Bye, Celeste. Celeste's been found guilty. It's time for the punishment. Oh dang, she's gonna get burned at the stake. What the heck? Well, it's one of those executions. Okay. I see. At least it's not a hanging execution. If they ever did that, I would lose my gosh darn mind. I'm serious, I would. Oh, what the? That's a fire truck with... I think it's a bit late for the fire truck. Ah, dude. Alright, I now know a valuable lesson. Never let Monokuma drive. Over. Third execution is over. Celeste's death is over. Celeste killed my friend, so I can't pity her, but I still also can't deny that at one point I considered her a friend. And for him to just come along and... Isn't it just awful? Someone couldn't cut free of the regrets in the outside world, and so more people had to die. You guys are
Extreme!
still young. You need to place more value on your lives.
What are you gonna do?
I thought you guys were gonna pass the torch of hope to the next generation.
Let me out of here!
What do I care about hope? I'll throw it in the trash if you just let me out of here.
Too bad!
You're all the embodiment of hope, whether you like it or not. It's my destiny to knock it down one by one. It's sad, yes it is, that reality can't just be avoided. Don't talk like you're not responsible. How long are you gonna keep making us go through this? What do you want from us?
How strange.
God, I'm so sick of people asking me that. Give it a rest already. So anyway, Kyoko, do you see some kind of key type object from Celeste?
Hey!
So what's the deal with that?
Wah-wah?
What's the matter?
So then,
I'll answer your question. You answer mine.
you...
What did you do? What did you do to me?
Ooh.
What?
Hey,
Answer me. What did you do to my body? What?
Ooh.
Oh
How
man. Oh jeez, oh man, oh jeez, what do you mean? What did I do? Hey, I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. What was that just now? I just went into Kyoko's body. What does that mean?
Hello.
Okay, things gonna cut off. Everything's the time I got out of here.
Well,
You have to go out enjoying your school life. If you get lonely, give me a shout. Not that I'll do anything about it at first.
see ya later!
Monokuma disappeared, leaving us all depressed and in despair. Although it wasn't all despair, there was one small hope. Hey Kyoko, Monoko already mentioned it, but what's the key this list gave you?
So...
Most likely, key to one of the dressing room lockers.
Huh?
Huh? That means Celeste's probably hidden in there.
Hey,
I suppose it's easiest to miss what's right beneath your nose. Well then, better go check.
Indeed.
Good idea. We left the courtroom and rushed to the dressing room. As we approached the dressing room, Kyoko looked back at us and said,
Hey,
I'm going to go on alone from here. Everyone else heads to the dining hall. We'll check in with you later.
What?
Why exactly are you going alone? Do you
so...
even have to ask? She spoke to glance quickly at the surveillance camera.
Come on.
It's not only that. Why you? You're still risky to spy you know. Then I'll go too.
What?
You? Please, let me go. Only your arguments can draw more attention to us.
Goodbye.
Do whatever you want. Thank you, Byakuya.
well then.
It's up to you now.
Yo!
We're gonna go to the dining hall, okay? Makoto and Kyoko are gonna go together? Does that mean I think it means?
Okay.
Good luck, Makoto. World's like her, total pictures and children will act on. Tried to get what Hina said. Everyone has to go dining hall. We can meet Kyoko there later.
Shall we go?
Shall we? Yeah.
So then...
Need to get into that locker. Kyoko took the key cells together and unlocked the locker. The locker swung open and saw.
You really came.
Good morning. It's been a while, hasn't it? Same. Thank goodness. Kyoko sounds so relieved, so she speaks from the bottom of the floor. I did just as Celeste asked. I didn't say a word. I stood quiet the entire time.
So,
Oh, and I think I might be able to open the last set of files soon. Maybe as early as tomorrow. I'm doing my best, so please just wait a little while longer. It's not gonna push the case closed. As far as this is concerned, sure. But can we take a second to consult me? I want you to be honest with me. Okay, we're gonna end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give this video a like, comment, subscribe, and please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to see the next episode as soon as possible, well, just let me know. I'll see you guys later. Bye.